present in the room with you. This also serves as a roll call vote. For each subsequent vote, I will ask if there are any objections or abstentions. If there are none, then the motion will be approved on the same basis as the initial roll call. Board Member Jesse Cook,
Present and alone.
Board Member Dave Hinazumi is on his way. Board Member Glenn Hong,
Present in the board meeting.
Board Member Chair Sharon Hurd,
Present and also in the boardroom.
Board Member and Deputy Director CWORM Kara Kahahane,
Aloha, present on Zoom and alone.
Board Member Dino Kimoto,
Present and in the boardroom.
Board Member Jason Okuhama.
Present and alone.
Thank you. Board Member. Board Member Seddon,
Present and alone.
thank you. Board Member Nathan Trump,
Present in the boardroom.
Board Member Jason Watts, President in the boardroom. Board Member Deputy Director Dane Wicker.
Present alone.
All right, we have quorum. All right, members, if there are no objections, we'll move on to section B, approval of prior meeting minutes. Motion, regular meeting, regular session minutes, August 25, 2025. That was deferred from November 20th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Member Hong, seconded by Board Member Trump. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There is none.
Is there any board discussion? Not all those in favor, or I'm sorry, any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the minutes are adopted. Item number 2, regular meeting, regular session minutes, September 18, 2025. That was deferred from November 20th, 2025. Will be deferred again to January 15th, 2026. Moving on to item 3, special meeting, regular session minutes, September 25, 2025. That was deferred from November 20th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve or to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chair Hurd. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There is none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections to adopting the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are adopted. Item number 4, items number 4 and number 5, regular meetings, regular session minutes of October 16th, and the regular session minutes of November 20th will be deferred to January 2026. Moving on to section C, a chairperson's report. There is none. Moving on to section D. Administration Committee report, November 21, 2025. Is there a report or is Chair?
He's on his way.
Okay. If there's no objections from the members, we'll take this at the end of the agenda. Chair Hinazumi is on his way. Moving on to section E, action items. To be a little bit quicker, we're going to take some things out of order here. I'm going to take action item number 17 out of order. Item 17 is a request for approval to issue a right of entry agreement to Real Haven Incorporated for film production purposes on land under license agreement number LI-WM1505, issued to William H. Wise III, doing business as Waihi'i Farms and Kalama Hardwood LLC in Whitmore Village, District of Wahiawa, Sealand County of Honolulu, State of Hawaii, tax map key number 1-7-1-002 and 004 portion. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
Just briefly, Chair. This is Lyle Rowe, from the main office. As the submittals essentially there, Real Heaven Inc. is a film production company, producing cross-platform. They're seeking a right of entry to a property that we currently lease to William Wise and his companies. Mr. Wise, you guys I think you can all see in the, there's his consent is in the package. They're requesting a right of entry to his property. They need ADC's consent because it's not part of Mr. Wise's land utilization plan. So ADC needs to, if it's to go ahead, ADC needs to consent to it.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's one.
Director?
Just speak directly to the mic, please. If you're interested.
Chair Watts, members of the Agribusiness Development Corporation. My name is Donnie Dawson. I am the State Film Commissioner, manager of the Hawaii Film Office at DBED. Before I say a couple words, I wanted to thank our Deputy Director, Dane Wicker, for bringing this to the attention of ADC and for assisting us in helping to get this on your agenda. I am joined today by the location manager for the subject location, and his name is Rick Schuler, and he's going to be here to answer any questions and introduce himself. And also, I have my colleagues from the Honolulu Film Office, Valea Constantino and Sonoy Damon, who are here to answer any questions that may come up. We've had lots of experience, the Honolulu Film Office and the State Film Office, with filming at this location, and it has always gone very well. It is very beneficial when we have a film production that wants to film on our INA anywhere, because they are always keen on leaving places better than they find them, and it is temporary use of the resources, and they have annually significant impact on our economy and job creation. And we can talk a little bit more about that in detail. But I just wanted to say that this particular location, the last time it was used in a significant way was by an ABC Disney production and television series, actually, and they were very keen on helping their the local crew, as well as any out-of-town crew who were working on the production, to really understand Hawaii, understand where they were filming, understand sensitivities, and really how to act and conduct themselves, and a little bit about our culture and our history. And it was very successful, and we try to replicate that on every production, so that productions know that they are guests in our community, they are asking proper permission, and they are utilizing our resources in a very thoughtful manner, and they are returning them to us with in normally better condition. So we're here available to answer any questions. If I could call Rick up to just introduce himself on behalf of the production, that would be great.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us here and taking our request and considering that for us. I'm the location manager here on the Hawaii portion of this production. We go under the name of Real Heaven. Not really, it's not really a heaven, it's a lot of hard work. But it's the Jumanji tradition that we're dealing with. So we're a franchise that has been here before. We've been well behaved and love this place, and there wouldn't be that particular movie if we didn't have Hawaii. So we understand the value of being here, and we respect the property. The Bilmore property for us is new. We have never filmed there before, so there's an added advantage of showing another part of Hawaii that we haven't seen in this well-developed franchise. What we intend to do there in our minds, like fairly simple scenes. It's a princess that is skipping across a river, and it's a princess walking through a meadow where the bad guys kind of catch up from her. And yes, it seems like it should only take about 10 minutes to do that, but it'll take us a whole day to do that as filming goes. So we're in an area that I understand from Bill is not, and from seeing it myself, it's not affecting his agricultural business whatsoever. So we're not intending to have any impact on his business. But I understand because it's state-owned property and he's a lead city that you guys need to step in and grant us approval to sort of be there. So as Donnie had said, we're definitely intent on treating it as a special place. And it is a special place. We wouldn't be there, but we also understand it's a special place in other ways that are culturally significant as well. I've also asked Tricia Watson to be here as well. If you want to ask her any questions, she's our cultural advisor for this, and Elizabeth Kruger is here as well, along with the Honolulu Film Commission to address issues about zoning or other issues that I don't know that information well enough and couldn't address it, but I can tell you what we intend to do there. We do like to leave the property the way we found it, if not in a better way. So thank you for taking in our requests, and I'll answer, or anybody else will answer.
What's the name of the movie?
Well, I'm bound by NDA.
Oh.
We're bound by NDA, but it's been around for a while. It might start with the J. Remember, it's sort of like a board game. Like 4 characters. One of them is African American. So hopefully I'll still be the location manager by the time it's over. But I don't have a
Thank you.
So so we've been here before. We love it here. The director and the studio. It's a big studio. Love being here. So, and we would be the first ones to come back since a law of almost a year, where people have actually left the state to go find work in other places. So it's great. We thought we were the only ones trudging forward, but then 2 other people showed up. So there's actually 3 productions now on this island. So it's coming back, and we just need help in keeping us here.
Thank you. Board members, any others?
Is Tricia a character or is she a cultural advisor?
Well, I thought we're
Well,
going
she's
to call
a personality, definitely.
I have a question.
Chair Hurd.
Talking about.
Sorry, Chair Hurd has a question for you.
Can you take public testimony first, or can I go?
Yes, public testimony.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. You want to come up too, or
No.
Dean wants to have a conversation. I
I
don't know.
bet he does. Your question.
Anyway, thank you. Any further public testimony?
We have one public testimony. Please, ma'am, come up.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. If I may invite Ms. Elizabeth Kruger, who's with the Department of Planning and Permitting at the city. I'm Valea Constantino. I run the Honolulu Film Office. And I understand in leading up to this hearing that there was a question with regard to zoning. And I know we provided the information in the packet, but we're here, of course, in a supportive capacity and to be able to address any other questions you might have with regard to that zoning. Correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, but because it is temporary in nature, the city does not see an issue with any conflict with what our zoning laws are. Donnie mentioned that there has been production in this area before, and I can attest to that. Prior to the ABC television series, there was also a show called The Rundown that used this area, so it's been used multiple times with no adverse effect. Following what our zoning issues are. So stand here in support and let us know if there's anything that we can answer. Liz, did you want to?
Sure. Good morning, commissioners. I'm Elizabeth Krieger. I'm the Land Use Permits Division Chief of the Department of Planning and Permitting, the City and County of Honolulu. The zoning code for the city and county is Revised Ordinances of Honolulu, Chapter 21. And in Article 1 of ROH Chapter 21, it specifically states that temporary uses are not regulated by that chapter. Although if the director of the Department of Planning and Permitting anticipates that a temporary use could have adverse land use impacts, we can issue a temporary use approval. So we took a look at the proposed use of this site, and I'm here representing the director, but I can say that the director determined that the proposed use would not have an adverse land use impact. No temporary use approval would be required for this particular production. But we do have that ability to review a basic proposal, and if we do anticipate impacts, we can use the temporary use approval to mitigate concerns by imposing conditions. And in this case, we determined that that would not be required, although should the production change, should they find that they need to do something that would potentially have impacts, we could say, we could reevaluate that. We could require the temporary use approval, and then the conditions would look specifically at what we were concerned about and mitigate them, and that has worked quite well. The most commonly used temporary use approval is often like a Board of Water Supply base yard, that kind of thing, where they're doing a big Board of Water Supply project that may need to locate sometimes in the agricultural district or residential district. But that's just an example of a time when we've used that provision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public testimony?
There is none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Chair Hurd?
Chair, thank you, Chair. I have a question about the lessee. Is the lessee on the line? No? Okay.
No, I don't think he is.
Thank you, Lyle. This is a process that if it was the Department of Agriculture Biosecurity, prior to the board hearing the motion to allow this, it would be considered, I don't know, it would be vetted prior as whether or not you need a written contract, so to speak, with the farmer, because it is agriculture, the use is agriculture, and we would want that lessee to have some sort of written contract, you might say, because it is a sublease. It is a sublease, and the board approves the sublease. Prior to coming to the board, all those documents would be presented. That is there an agreement if there's an accident, the liability, if there's any agriculture that's been interrupted, even for a day. I understand it's a day, but things happen. It could go on for more than a day. The proposal that I saw prior was that it would be for a maximum 120 days. I don't know if that's the case here, but I don't have a document in front of me to look at. So agriculture being the purpose of, the land, agribusiness, I would like to see more from the lessee saying that he or she does agree what he farms to this agreement, the length of time, and if there's any interruption to the business, whether or not they'd be paid for it. And this is more, I'm giving you what we do at the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity with our lessees. It's to protect the lessee, but it's also to protect the department in the event of a liability with one of the actors or participants, or even loss of income due to something that happens on the property. So I would like to hear from the lessee if that's possible.
I think he would like to.
We have Board Member Wicker.
Board Member Wicker.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board Member Hurd. Agree with the making sure we're not liable or lessee, and I would probably defer to the AG if all that is there. My only concern with adding a step to the process is that with the film industry, everything is very short notice and short window. And that's based on a lot of things backing up to productions. So if we add that additional step and that requires board action, we're actually going to delay or lose productions. And we're already at a challenge and disadvantage in drawing productions to the state. It is the natural resources that draws them here. We don't have much studio space. So I just want to put that out there that if we do add another step, with DBED overall trying to push this as a primary industry, we're just gonna make it a little bit more difficult and would not support that. Thank you.
Any further, wait, one second, any further board discussion? Board Member Hong?
I just want to say, I appreciate Real Heaven and your backers to bringing production back to Hawaii. I do agree with the comments that Chair Hurd just mentioned. You know, if there are revenues in there, it becomes a sublease, and it's something that the board really should be opining on.
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Any other questions, board members? If I have one for, I think Lyle, Wendy, and for the Attorney General on the call. Our current board process and standard operating procedures, in what Chair Hurd has said, is that aligned or not, or we don't have that in place yet?
This is really the first time this has happened. I mean, it has happened, I think, on a couple of properties without our knowledge. But this is the first time that I'm aware of that it's coming to the board. So this is a bit of a test case. It's assumed, at least on my part, that the grantee, the Real Heaven Inc., would be required to provide insurance, but they and the lessee would have to let us know whether or not there's an agreement with them. For ADC's part, the way this request is written, the only consideration we're requesting is credit in the film for ADC.
I think you're asking, is this incorporated in our current policies and procedures? And the answer is no.
Okay. Couple of things. I think, so I support the project, but I also 100% agree with what Chair Hurd has brought up. And so I think I'm inclined to pass it out. But Lyle, can we make sure to address Chair Hurd's concerns? And if at the next board meeting, can we invite the lessee to come and speak to us?
Yeah, I can make sure he is aware of that. I'll invite him.
Okay, because I think, board members should be able to ask some questions here on his ADC lease. And then secondly, if and then I'm not going to ask for a board vote yet, but I just would like to, I guess, for you folks, if you guys can start to work with the Attorney General's office to look at incorporating Chair Hurd's language into our policies and procedures, because it's 100% correct. But to Deputy Director Wicker's point, I don't want to hold this up and anymore, but I'd like to give board members a chance to engage with the lessee. So if any other public.
Just because Dean misses me so much.
Sorry, Deputy Director.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, thank you. Just a quick follow-up. I agree with making sure we're not liable. So I want that to be clear. I'm just concerned about timelines because in the realm of the film industry, things are so fluid and quick. I just want to caution that. So whatever we got to do up front to make sure all those ducks in a row would be good on the process side. Thank you.
Deputy Director, understood. I think unless there's vote change, my intent is to pass it out.
Thank you.
But I think to Chair Hurd's questions, I'd like to invite the lessee to come before us at the next board meeting to kind of answer some questions about the lease and all that. And then, of course, ask the staff to evaluate for the future how best to process these things while addressing Chair Hurd's concerns about the fact that it's a sublease, et cetera. So at this point, no, not holding anything up. And I just, want to kind of find that best foot forward going forward.
Thank you.
Chair.
I echo that. I don't want to hold it up either, but there is a process and a special use permit. I agree, takes a long time. And that's why the others use that process to go through the special use permit process. I heard just for the first time today that there's a temporary use permit from planning. I'm not familiar with that. It's in statute.
Elizabeth Krieger, Department of Planning and Permitting. Yes, it's in the revised ordinances of Honolulu. I think you're referring to Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 205. I would say that for land use purposes, as a person who works in zoning every day, when we talk about a principal land use, we're talking about the overall.
We're talking about like a
site,
zip
but
line.
It's not regulating every single thing that happens on that site every single day. So our zoning code is very specific about what is considered an accessory use and what is considered a temporary use. So for example, you have a house, you live in your house, maybe you have a home occupation, your home occupation is a permitted accessory use, that's an actual land use. You throw a party, it's a huge party, you have a band, that's once. Now, a party is a separate land use if you're having that kind of thing every day. But for zoning purposes, that one day event is a temporary use that is not regulated by the zoning code. Now, what makes my job really hard is if you have that party quarterly or monthly or weekly, then I get involved because now it's beginning to look like an actual regulated accessory use or a regulated principal use. So the question kind of becomes, first of all, you have principal uses, secondarily, you have accessory uses, and then there are these uses that are like so tangential as to not be regulated. Essentially, it's like the way we would talk about a de minimis kind of situation. So that's the complication and the thing that makes my job hard.
And we have a planner that would totally agree with what you say. I'm schooled on a regular basis about the nuances of what goes on here, but overarching is the process. So if the process was followed, that's fine. It doesn't seem that it was followed here because I don't have the lessee. I don't have anything in writing to review, but I'm not going to hold it up. I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing out that there is a process, and perhaps as an ADC board member, we should incorporate that process into our regulations, right? Hey, David.
So you get only one shot, one act, that's it. No redos. Anyway, yeah.
Just very quickly. Aloha, Tricia Campbell, Lenny Watson, Bungalow Consulting, hi, board members. I just wanted to say that there is an agreement. So every production has a location agreement, and I apologize that that wasn't provided. I think that can be. The state is absolutely indemnified. On top of it, there are biosecurity protocols with all productions. We're very cognizant of the fact that there's CRB, Little Red Fire Ant, and other things. So the film production absolutely takes that into consideration. And I would just like to urge passing this out because, as all of you are very aware, it is critical that we have opportunities to diversify the revenue streams of agricultural businesses.
Understood. We just don't want this, I don't want this to be a regular thing. Hey, you know what? It's urgent. I need,
Absolutely.
It's not the way to
So
go.
I think everybody would be more than happy to provide ADC a copy of that location agreement, the COI for the state and those documentations, and I apologize that that wasn't included initially. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Is there any further board discussion?
Chair, did you want to recognize board member?
Oh, yes, 10:30, board
10:30
member Hainesby is present.
Yes, Jack.
Board members, any other discussion? If not, before we proceed, so if we could invite the lessee to the next board meeting as an informational item. And then secondly, if staff can work with the AG to evaluate her concerns against our policies and procedures, be great. Are there any objections or abstentions to passing this out?
I'm gonna not object to passing it. I'm gonna object that it's a one-time, a one-off, please.
So noted.
Sorry, is that an abstention then, or is it just, you're just mentioning that, but you're voting
With
for it?
reservations. I'm approving with reservations.
Okay, then you gotta take a roll call vote.
Okay.
With reservations, I guess you're still voting yes, so.
Mhm.
Okay, never mind. You don't need a roll call vote.
Roll call vote, okay. Board
Only if there's an
members,
abstention, or you only need it if there's an abstention or an objection, and I guess she's not abstaining, so it's fine. Sorry, I just want to clarify what her vote was.
okay, so we're okay with one
Yeah,
motion?
because it's yes with reservations.
Understood. Any objections or abstentions? Chair Hurd with reservations? Hearing none, the measure is adopted. Okay, back to the regular agenda. Item number one. Request for approval to issue a right of entry to the state of Hawaii Department of Human Services to begin due diligence and clearing of approximately 5.118 gross acres of land for Kalahari project purposes in Wahiawa, District of Wahiawa, City and County of Honolulu, State of Hawaii, tax map key number 17-3-013-010. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a second? Second by Board Member Hong. Is there a staff presentation?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just briefly, the board was given a presentation on this project at the last board meeting in November. Mr. Jun Yang gave a presentation, updated the board on what they were looking to do, what ADC was looking to do. And as mentioned at that board meeting, we're here today with a request for a right of entry. There was no submittal for this because we were worried that the right of entry wouldn't be ready in time. I was very concerned about that. It is ready now. I can share my screen if the board would like to see it. It's in final form, agreed to by our Deputy Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General from the Department of Human Services. But I believe if the board wants to see that, I'll share my screen.
Yes. Yes, we have a request from Chair Hurd.
Okay.
I gave permission, you should be able to share.
So it's the right of entry agreement is our standard language, modified slightly because it's state to state. So we're self-insured. Department of Human Services is self-insured. But otherwise, it's pretty much the standard language for a right of entry, giving them the right to come onto the property and do their due diligence and some clearing. I believe Mr. Yang is in the audience to answer any questions as well.
Before we do that, Lau, I have some questions, I think, for you. I just wanted to understand. So, and this is kind of a process thing, I think, for this issue and then even going forward, future issues. At the last board meeting, this was an informational item. The board did not approve anything.
Right.
But when I read the action item, the way it's written, it says due diligence and clearing of approximately 5.118 gross acres. I guess what is that? And I mean, is that still, we're still in the due diligence phase, and this is we haven't gone to the yes yet, right? I mean, what is your understanding and status of this project?
The request and what this right of entry would do is allow Department of Human Services through the homeless office to come in and do their due diligence, checking the property, specifically the site that they want to look at. I believe it also includes clearing the property. It's overgrown. ADC spent money to clear it once. Some of that is beginning to grow back, so it's beneficial to ADC as well. But this, to my understanding, doesn't allow the start of any sort of construction. We would be looking at perhaps a separate lease or a license if the board approves this project to go forward.
Okay, thank you for clearing it up, because I think at the last board meeting, there was the commitments we had, right? Chair Hurd had expressed some concerns to evaluate the site, and then there was a request from the public that we participate in a neighborhood board meetings, and I just want to make sure we honor all those requests before we agree 100% to move forward. But with that, is there any money from the public who wishes to give testimony?
June.
Good morning, Chair Wallace and ADC Board. Jun Yang with the Statewide Office on Homelessness and Housing Solutions. Thank you for allowing me to be here. First, I want to say thank you to the Executive Director for ADC and also the staff who've been working really hard. The AGs on our side and from the ADC side have been working really hard in a brief amount of time to get this right of entry to a place where I think both departments, both agencies feel comfortable. Right now at this point, part of the clearing has to do with more being able to do a topo survey. We want to be able to see how the property is laid out and how to do the development in the future as we come in and present to you what that development might look like. We're at this point, we just want to be able to come onto the property and to do some of the due diligence on site so that we can come in with the best information to present to the board so that you may be able to take the best informed action as we move through the process. We want to be able to, once we have this process set up, be able to go into the community, let people know these are some of the things that we're planning on doing in the area. That the Kauhale is possibly on a portion of this parcel with future workforce housing as well. And we'll do that together with the ADC staff. We're not going to speak on behalf of the ADC in any way, but that's a part of the desire that we want to be able to do. We want to be transparent through the process and work closely with you.
Thank you, Jun. Is there any other public testimony? If not, is there board discussion?
There's none, Chair.
Sorry, is there any board discussion?
Chair, if I might
Sure.
recap from the last meeting, you're correct. We do need to give a neighborhood board meeting presentation, and that is on our calendar for January 1st. I believe that June talked about going in front of the BLNR because the parcel itself is zoned residential with a caveat that it is set aside for aquaculture, which would require approval by the BLNR board. So that's an additional step. So it is really just to do the due diligence, to do the topo and the survey. It is not a construction right of entry.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other board discussion? Seeing none. Is there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jun. Moving on to item number 2, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Jatutong Jairuan and Buwan Jairuan for 10 gross acres, more or less, of PU-14 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, State of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh,
Take your pick.
Board Member Cook, thank you. Is there a staff presentation?
Hi, good morning, Board. Allison Newstein, ADC Property Manager. Just so you know, the next 12 submittals there was a 500-acre parcel we had, and we had a group of disadvantaged farmers who formed a hui, so to speak. And so we divided that lot amongst them in this group. We do have one of the farmers here who's kind of been the lead with this group of disadvantaged farmers. A lot of them don't speak English very well, but I believe they were all reviewed by the interaction group and were all evaluated with their applications. Everyone in this group is undergoing GAP certification right now, and they are all growing food and plan to partake in the DOE's Farm to School program. So they're very excited about that. So yeah, as we go through them, I'm sure Chair Watts will have as much fun with the names as I will. And if anyone has any questions, I believe Nora is here to answer any of those questions, and I'm here as well, but that's just a little bit of background. So like the next 12 will be pretty much similar, except for just little of these lots that were subdivided.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah, you're welcome. If there's any questions.
And Ms. Nora is online.
Yeah, question.
Public testimony.
I'm sorry. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There is.
There is one. Wait a moment.
Probably Nora.
Aloha, Ms. Lisa Rodas?
Is it no?
Hi, yes, this is Lisa Roden. Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to provide testimony. My testimony is for all of the Thai farmers that you folks will be reviewing. My name is Lisa Roden. I am the Executive Director of North Shore EVP. We created and administer the Hawaii Group Gap program, which is the only food safety training and certification program serving diversified crop farmers across the state. Hawaii Group Gap currently supports more than 50 farmers statewide in achieving and maintaining USDA food safety certification, and this enables them to access commercial and institutional markets. In 2022, we were awarded a 3-year, $722,000 USDA grant, and with this support, we translated our training materials and food safety record templates into Mandarin and Thai to better serve English language learning farmers. As a result, we have successfully assisted Mandarin-speaking farmers in achieving certification, and in spring 2025, we began training with the Thai Farmer Group. In our experience working with these farmers so far, they have demonstrated a strong commitment and a high level of interest in food safety certification as a pathway to more stable and reliable markets, including the Department of Education. These farmers are highly skilled producers of staple crops such as lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and beans, and their farm locations are in close proximity to the planned regional kitchen, which positions them well to contribute to its success. Our team has full confidence in their abilities to achieve food safety certification and scale production. I'm available for any questions. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there any further testimony from the public?
My name is Nora.
Oh, hi, Nora.
Hi. I'm in one of the group of the Thai farmers. I also helping them with the language. Thank you, Lisa, that you have your course translated in Thai language. Otherwise, they won't be able to attend the food safety. We also form our group, 17 farmer, into a cooperative. And because of that, we also get award a grant from Hawaii Good Food Alliance for $50,000 for us to purchase a cooler to keep our vegetable fresh. And all our farmers are growing different vegetable that we use daily. Just as Lisa mentioned, we have cucumber, long beans, and all those things that you can use in your kitchen daily. So we are very happy to be able to attend the food safety in Thai language. So we can, after we graduate, we can pursue our sales into the bigger company and also supply to the DOE. I'm very grateful if we can get this land because we are minority. We don't know how to find a land. We always working under the non-profit organization and we sublease from them all this time. So at this point, we got our land exhaust or expire our lease already. So we're banking on moving on to ADC and trying to do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Is there any further public testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Nora, this is Dean.
Hi.
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 You said the co-op that you're forming has 17 farmers. So 12 of them are gonna be on ADC land. Where are the other 5 farmers from? And are they gonna be certified by North Shore EVP also?
Yes, we are starting together and then we will be graduate same time. If we can continue our second batch, which is we have to have the land, we have to get water, we have to practice on growing and packing with the advice and guidance of the food safety group.
Okay, so the other 5 farmers are on other lands?
Actually, they apply through us. but they're waiting for so long, we lost them. So that they went to somewhere just to sublease a small lot until we got the water. Yes, they're all the same group. They are under our corporation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further board discussion?
Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Just looking at the water agreement, it says here that it's going to be provided by Dole Plantation with a lot of uncertainty around kind of where the water is going to be going in the future. Is there anything on, the farmer side as well as ADC side to make sure that, we literally don't, leave them out to dry? So, pun intended.
May I? I would just add to that, the fact that we are currently in a purchase sale agreement with Sustainable Hawaii, who owns part of that system. And then we are in negotiations for a purchase sale agreement with Dole. And the Wahiawa irrigation system runs at the bottom of the property, so it certainly does flow past. We also received a legislature allotment of $9.2 million to upgrade the wells and that irrigation system to support them, but we can never move fast enough to get people water.
Thanks. That answers my question. And just add that this is a really exciting group of items on the agenda to push through, and I'm really glad that we're able to be a part of it. So,
thank you.
Any other board discussion? Board Member Hinazumi.
Thank you, Chair. So, following up Wendy, so if they need water today for their fields, is it available? Or is it to be made available in the future?
It's easy for the farmers that are adjacent to the irrigation system to pump out of the ditch. It's much more complicated for the farmers that are further up the parcel. And so some of them have totes where they're filling the totes. And in many other cases, they're actually bringing water to the property. That's not sustainable, but they are counting on the irrigation system and the $9.2 million to put in the infrastructure to get everything to them.
So the rough timing on the improvements getting put in so they don't have to rely on totes?
It depends on state procurement, remember, Hinazumi? So it's been through the DBED, it has been through budget and finance. And I believe last week it was, the funds were released by the governor. So now we go through procurement. I'm thinking somewhere at least in the next 6 to 12 months, but we are currently in the rainy season. It's not ideal.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely agree with Member Trump. This is a great thing. Allison, thank you for pushing pushing these things through. We'll just have to make sure that the farmers are going to be able to do what they need to do. I guess they'll just make the best of a bad situation for the time being.
Well, you gotta remember that they have access to the land now, so they still gotta clear it and do their due diligence on the land itself before they even think about putting in irrigation. So that's gonna take them a little while too.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. And then my other question was just related to the to the further background on these fields. Looks like it was basically RFP back in November of 2024. Were these fields just fallow, or did they become available by a tenant moving out? I'm just curious to know the rough timing to make sure we're moving, as an agency as best and quickly as we can on these, available land.
Lyle, would you like to give further history beyond the last 2 years? For the last 2 years, the fields have been fallow. There has not been another farmer. All of the farmers, to Nora's point, lost their license where they had been for the last 10 years. They are operating on the land through a right of entry to do the due diligence work. And they, within a week and a half of getting the right of entry, every one of them had insurance, naming ADC as an additional insured. The average age of the farmers are between 10 to 15 years younger than the average in the state.
Okay, so the prior tenant on all of these fields lost their lease 2 years ago.
Lyle, has anybody been on the land since we purchased it from Dole?
No, the land has been fallow since we purchased it. It's been, there have been fires on it. But no, we haven't had people. The only entity that has been on the property has been briefly, this board had issued a right of entry to, I think, Costco Corporation to put a weather station as they were considering the property prior to the pandemic for a farm project. But once the pandemic hit, they pulled out of that project, terminated it, and it's been fallow since then. This is the first real attempt to put tenants on the property since ADC has owned it.
And sorry, Lyle, what was the date that we purchased it from Dole? What year?
I would have to go back. I want to say 17, 18. Ken might have a more, I wasn't on board at the time.
2020. It says in the land status, 2020.
There you go. Okay, thank you.
Ken can offer more history.
Hey, good morning, Chair and board members of the public. Ken Nakamoto, Project Manager. So yes, Costco was one of the entities that had a right of entry, but in 2019, this board, not particular board, but the previous board went out for a solicitation very similar to what you see today with these farmers. Entity by the name of Cedar Grove was issued a right of entry. They looked at the situation, realized that it was, and this was during COVID. So because of their partners pulled out during COVID, they gave up the right of entry. And so we went back, the properties went back into this latest round that you see in front of you, and that's where we are today. So in addition to Costco, I just wanted to point out that Cedar Grove had a right of entry and they pulled out for various reasons during the COVID pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Hizumi,
Thank you.
Board Member Cook.
Yeah, I've heard from the farmers that it takes them like hours to pump into a tote and water their little bit of land. So it takes a while to get water in a tote. And I'm noticing that we're offering rent credits for some land prep dealing with water. Could we add a rent credit for maybe a water truck instead of them using totes, and they can use a rent credit for a water truck? Also, if that's possible. Also, will they, for the rent credits, and they need receipts, what if they did the labor on their own, or they did things on their own? Do the receipts need to come from a third-party provider? Or can they provide the receipt for the labor that they did for some of these improvements?
Allison would like to, go ahead.
Chair. Good point, Jesse. The Department of Agriculture, Biosecurity, Ag Resource Management Division does allow rent credits, as he said, for clearing the land. We can talk to you, we can give you what we have in our leases, and I think that would help. Makes a lot of sense though, because in order to prep the land, you need water. Makes sense. And with this 1,800 an acre, that's a lot of credit for, we go 2 years, by the way.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I think 2 years.
So a
2
maximum
months.
rent credit
There
of
is a
2
maximum.
years.
It's either 2 years or 2 months. I would have to go back and check.
I think it's 2 years.
2 years? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hurd.
You have more hands up.
Jesse, are you good, or you?
Yeah,
Okay,
so just to be clear, I was seeing if we could provide a rent credit for maybe a water truck, if that's possible, because the totes are really cumbersome. And then, if they can get a rent credit for labor or things that they've installed themselves, or it needs to be from a third-party provider, I don't know. And maybe Allison could talk about the water truck, because I saw her hand go up right when I said.
Yeah, well, before you go, I want to get the board members first. I see Board Member Oklahoma has his hand up as well.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a question regarding the
Dole Reservoir. I know I asked last meeting about whether water from the reservoir that we're acquiring was going to be used, could be used for the Thai farmers down there, because I know when I had a meeting with, I think it was the Land Access Group, the one of the Eco Farm people that used to work for Dole and knew the water systems extremely well in the area, had mentioned that the reservoir used to actually feed lower down into that could be tapped into and actually provide water to that 500 plus acre area. He had a map and showed all the lines that ran in that area, that immediate area, and then the wells around the area. So it was a pretty somewhat detailed map of all the main lines that used to run for Dole. So, I mean, is that an option that can be looked at to provide water from the reservoir until there's some, I mean, I know we talked about the wells, but those renovations might take a year, 2 years, who knows how long that's gonna take. So is there any other way to, remedy a situation?
Can we have Allison address?
Yeah.
Allison, are you still on? Go ahead.
So, yeah, we actually have been meeting weekly. There's a group of us who meet with the farmers. There's engineers, there's people from Dole, I believe people from NRCS, people from the university. We're all working together on this. And so even Lisa Roden has been on these meetings, and it was brought up at our last meeting to look into getting the water truck to help with this delivery. And we have been coming up with plans to get water, but we don't want to spend funds like twice on the infrastructure that's going to be needed. So it's kind of been a weird flow on trying to figure out how to get this water to them, so to speak. But we have been working with them, and we do have like a plan right now to get some of the farmers, as Wendy said, that are closer to the ditch water. And we've been working with these people with Dole to see about other sources as far as the reservoirs on their property and pushing stuff. And we're also still exploring. There is some infrastructure still left on the site that we've been having to look at and evaluate. So we are working right now, like I said, weekly. I believe Mark is going to be meeting with a bunch of the engineers on site on Monday coming up to also evaluate once again. And we just keep working together, but we are meeting weekly and working on getting more water throughout the property. And the water truck is something that was brought up. So we are looking into that right now. And as far as any credits, once again, if the farmers do require more credits, we can come back to the board, or if the board sees that we need more credits now or feels they should be issued more credits. Once again, I believe that's something you guys can amend right now as far as credits.
Notice it, right? We have to notice it to make any changes.
Yeah.
I think it would be best.
Any further board discussion?
Sure, I have
Yes,
a
sir.
comment. First of all, North Shore EVP is very, very trustworthy and high performing group. They have several contracts with the department right now. Very reactive to any changes in what happens. They're very not shy in asking for revisions to their contracts. They're gonna do a really good job on this. I wanted to just mention here that looking at this map and all this red area is really, I'm sure we all have the same feeling. Wow, this is gonna make a difference, doubling food production, 30 by 30, 50 by 50. I think we got a chance. But to everybody else's point, 50 is not that long away. So it's got 2050. So we've got to the sooner we start, the better. And again, looking at the map, I'm going to mention to Lisa, sounds like this is a good opportunity for a food hub, Lisa. I'm sure you've already thought of it. They're going to need refrigeration, they're going to need packaging, they're going to need customers. So we're ready for that in the next legislation act to come help you guys with the food hub. Thanks. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you. Any further board discussion? I just have a few things for the staff. I think all the board members raised some very good, valid points. But to echo Board Member Trump's comments, and Board Member Okimoto, this is really good. I think this is the first set of leases that we're approving that they've actually committed to looking at the DOE as an option to sell to. So that's a good thing. So I hope at Board Member Cook, at some point, you can talk to them with your pig and work with the DOE to figure out and make sure that those contracts align with their whatever they need. But I also want to echo Board Member Hinazumi's concerns because Allison, I don't know if you weren't around when the ADC was sued, Always Best, and for something like this where we issued licenses or whatever on the promises of water, and water wasn't available, and the person sued us for millions of dollars. So I just want to make sure we're working with these farmers today. They understand the situation we're in. They understand the approval timelines. They also, I think, understand they're going to be under the new rate at $1,800 per person. So, are they going to be able to pay that while rent credits are approved and et cetera, right, without actual production for a while. So I just want to make sure we're covering all those things, because I don't want to place the corporation in any more liability than that's required. So if you guys can please keep that on your front burners. I'd also like to request, until water is fully provided, that we can get maybe monthly updates, informational updates on the status of these farmers. I don't want to put them in any more jeopardy. They're already disadvantaged in some argument. So other than that, is there any other board member questions?
No, just thanks for thinking about all that stuff, Jason. I know those folks will appreciate it.
Thank you. And then this is more for the Attorney General of the college, and I'm going to try to do something creative here, because all these leases it's the same essentially. So what I'd like to do is take all 12 leases for approval in one motion.
Jen, is that possible?
I think she's throwing up right now.
Yeah, I don't think you can, because you got to allow anybody from the public to come testify on each agenda item.
Oh, I tried.
Yeah, that was creative.
Okay. If there's any further discussion from the public, seeing none, are there any objections on passing this item?
Or abstentions?
Or abstentions? Seeing none, the item is adopted. Moving on to item number 3, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Samarat, Kot Muang Thong, and Rung Napa Hawaharn for 32.9 gross acres, more or less, of PU-15 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, State of Hawaii, Tax Map Key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Board Member Hong. I assume Allison did the presentation, but I assume it's the same presentation.
She's got her.
Yeah, except Mr. Hawaharn last minute requested that they be removed as one of the tenants in common. I don't know if it's possible to amend at this time to remove Rung Napa Hawaharn as one of the tenants. If not, then I'll have to amend and come back at a later date for that one.
The Attorney General, is it okay if the board amend it
by striking?
You choose the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to change the motion. But has somebody done any, is that a fine? I mean, has somebody from AG's analyzed that that's a problem at all? If they do?
I just got word last minute from the applicant, and so the AG had already approved this, and I had not discussed with her. I didn't have time.
Has anybody else refrained from being a part of the?
Just this one tenant.
So maybe you should come back and just double check with the AG.
Okay.
If that's, I mean, unless this is going to really cause a problem.
It's also, I think there's an issue with, okay, there's 2 people and now you're cutting it in half, and can they do the 32 acres after that? So I think it's gotta be vetted that way.
In their, the submittal, they kind of talk about a little bit. I think this is the one where they said that Rungnapa is not going to be able to farm, but that they have their parents and other family that's going to be able to help them with
Oh,
the,
okay. I didn't see that.
the farming. Yeah.
I guess you could also prove, you could approve it with that change subject to, Attorney General approval.
Is
You
there,
wanna
is
move
there
forward.
any absolute problem if we defer this matter? So we can do a clean document for the next board meeting?
I don't believe it'll be a problem. And once again, apologize for the last minute. So if you want to, we can bring this one back.
Yeah, no worries, Allison. I think, let's defer item number 3 if there's no objections from the members. I know what I'm thinking is if you could just clean up the submittal, address board member Okimoto's concerns, and then bring it back next month, we'll be okay.
Okay.
So if there's no objections, members, can we defer item number 3 to January? Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to
Kitty sock.
Kirisak Kulcharo for 64.5 gross acres more or less of PU-16 and PU-23 for diversified agricultural use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Board Member Hinazumi, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Allison, is there a staff presentation?
Nope, everything's pretty much the same unless anyone has any questions.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, is there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted. Moving on to item number 5, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Surivong Chayachet for 73.7 gross acres, more or less, of PU-17 and PU-22 for diversified agricultural use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Board Member Hinazumi, seconded by Board Member Trump. Any staff presentation?
Same.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There is none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, is there any objections or abstentions? This measure is adopted. Thank you, board members. Moving on to item number 6. Request for approval to issue a new license agreement. Oh, I'm sorry. Ingrid, I noticed, I think Deputy Director Wicker jumped off to us. Okay. Request for approval to issue a new agreement to Janarong Truadnuk for 46.4 acres, more or less, of PU-18 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
No, same.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, is there any objections or abstentions? Measure is adopted. Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Kahornsack Harn Prom Kitty for 25.1 gross acres, more or less, of PU-19 and PU-28 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto.
Yep.
Is there a staff presentation?
Nope.
No, thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Seeing none, is there any board discussion? Seeing none. Is there any objections or abstentions? Measure is adopted. And I think Deputy Director Kahane jumped off too, so. Okay.
I'm here.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Moving on to item number 8, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Thanansok Champhong and Funny Champhong for 84.1 gross acres, more or less, of PU-20 and PU-21 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii. Tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
No.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Seeing none. Are there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted. Moving on to item number 9, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Lau Aqua Farm LLC for 57.1 gross acres, more or less, of PU-24 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii. Tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
No.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion?
I have a question.
Chair Hurd.
Thank you, Chair. With the question about water, how are they dependent on water to grow vegetables and fruits and vegetables in this case? It's going to be an aquaponic step operation? I'm sorry, I should have read this beforehand.
Allison?
Nora, I believe, is available. This is actually her, her company's requests.
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me, Alison?
Yep, you're
Okay.
good.
The aquaculture will become later, the second or the third year after the water is there. For right now, we do whatever we need to do. We just use the water to put on our fruit trees and whatever we can do. Okay, the aqua farmer is waiting later on.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora.
Thanks.
Is there any further board discussion? Seeing none. Are there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted. Moving on to item number 10, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to KP Farm Group LLC for 21.7 gross acres, more or less, of PU-25 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a staff presentation?
No.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion?
You know, I have one
Board Member Okimoto.
one concern is, you know, in their plans of what they're gonna grow and stuff, the amounts that they're doing and the land that they're getting, it doesn't add up. So, you know, like there's, so I don't know if there's, how did you decide to give the amounts of land to that farmer?
To which farmer?
Yeah, the farmers had divided up the map, like we had the pieces all divided, and then they amongst themselves chose which ones.
Oh, okay.
Part of it, Dean, had to do with who they wanted to farm next to so that there would be a backup plan. So that if you went on vacation, I would watch your crop. When I went on vacation, I'd watch your crop.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
And
we
they
had to
would share.
cover, yeah.
Okay, it's just, yeah, it's just one of them I looked at afterwards, the 84 acres or something, and there was only a plan to plant like 5 different items, 1 acre. And it was like, okay, well, you got 80 acres.
He's waiting for water and then he'll scale.
Oh, okay. So that's,
All of it is tillable, just saying.
okay, it's not,
And not everything is tillable.
okay. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there any further board discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? Thank you, board members. This measure is approved. Moving on to item number 11. Request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Sofa Nuan Bunma for 16.7 gross acres, more or less, of PU-26 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii. Tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there any staff presentation?
No.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted. Moving on to item number 12, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Sela Farm LLC for 59.2 gross acres, more or less, of PU-27 and PU-30 for diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a staff presentation?
No.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Are there any board discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? The measure is adopted. Thank you. Okay, moving to item number 13, request for approval to issue a new license agreement to Surafan Suwana for 14.1 gross acres, more or less, of PU-29 by diversified agriculture use in Wahiawa, Oahu, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-4-003, portion of 016. Is there a motion to approve?
So
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
No.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Are there any board members who want to discuss? Seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted.
Job, Chair.
Whiplash.
Exercise.
Tongue-tied or what?
Chair,
Chair heard.
has any calculation been done as to what this will do for the annual increase in rent to ADC? I mean, these numbers are pretty significant from what I've seen before.
This will be a new record. It will be $500,000 today. And it will be the most number of licenses ever granted by the board in our
Good job,
history.
Peg. Good job, Peg. And we're gonna have so much long bean and tomatoes.
Thank you.
Cucumbers, yeah.
Sure, Chef Ruiz will be happy. DOE venue.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Consistently. Thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 14, request for approval to amend license agreement number
Thank you.
LI
Bye.
LI-PU 1807 issued to Margaret M. Bush to add Brad Kalidimoku as additional licensee for property in Wailua, Oahu, Hawaii, tax map key number 16-5-005-009 portion. Is there a motion? Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
Nothing to add other than this is the tenant's nephew. She wishes to add. She's getting up there in age like all of us, and her nephew has been taking a big active role in assisting with operations over there. So she wanted to add him to this license. And if anyone has any questions, I'm available. I'm not sure if the tenant is available though.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony? Is there any board discussion?
It's kind of good to see
Succession.
succession.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this kind of a typical process for if there's like a farmer who's not really able to manage operations, kind of just naming someone else? Because these are, long-term licenses. And I'd imagine if the land was available, there'd be other people looking to do it. So are we kind of, I was looking to DAB for guidance there, but also within ADCs as well. Is this kind of the way we do things? Sorry for not double checking.
No, I think that's a good question. Between the AG and Allison and Wendy, I don't know if you have a response to that.
Well, I wanted.
Go ahead.
There is the process. It's a good question. And I believe I'll double check on this, but if you add someone to your lease as a co-owner, you have to go through a more vetting of a process. But if it's just someone in this case, it sounds like he's just adding to the workforce, or he's not taking ownership, or he's not, they're not passing on the assets to him, or he's not taking over the lease. He's not assigning the lease. It's just somebody else going to be added to the workforce. Is that more like it? It seems, but
Well,
there
it
is a
says
process.
add them as an additional licensee. So it's not just kind of like coming on as an employee. It's adding them as
So
something a
you're
little
right,
bit more
your point is
substantial.
well taken.
Yeah.
The process would be that it would be a little bit more vetting, what is his responsibility? If they die, does he assume the lease, their assets to be paid? It's a little legal. It's not a transfer of a lease, though.
They are being listed as tenants in common.
Sorry.
I guess I assume this was vetted by the AG's office.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then it's something that you could do. I have not been here long enough to know the history of how often this has been done with ADC.
Understood. But to confirm, the AGs have
Yes.
seen this. I just would echo the comments of the previous board members. And I think just like the water issue and just like the Wahiwa aquaculture, the Kahalis, if we can begin to formalize these things, and get them written into our board procedures, board policies, and AG to review. And I think we're due for our bylaw, our bylaws to be updated. They're outdated, and I think to address all these concerns and just have it documented that this is our processes.
So Chair, I don't know if this makes the board feel better, but I know this term's gonna end in 2028. So it's not much longer left on it.
Makes sense then.
And I want to acknowledge, Chair, that you're, pointing out this is a policy that is not currently in existence and spelled out clearly in our policies and procedures manual. And the staff can take that back and do a little bit more research and then come back to the board.
Okay, and I think we would probably route it to the admin committee and all that, but we could, help save us some legal things. So with those concerns, I don't have any additional ones. Any further board member questions?
I'd just say that if the license ends in 2028, then this makes a lot of sense for them to, if they're going to reapply, to have someone else that's going to be, taking on that new tenure. And so I think, if it was a different situation, I think we'd have more questions to ask. But at least to me, this makes sense. So I support it. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, are there any objections or abstentions? This measure is adopted. Moving on to item number 15. Request for after-the-fact approval for the Hawaii Agriculture Research Center to permit construction of 2 high tunnel structures on land under that certain grant of conservation easement for agriculture preservation recorded on October 2nd, 2009, tax map key number 19-2-001-011 portion. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
There is, Chair. This property is not owned by ADC. It's owned both by Hawaii Agricultural Research Center, Aloon Farms, a couple other entities. It's subdivided in a condo regime. In 2009, when it was only owned by Hark and Pioneer at the time, Hark encumbered their portion of the property under a conservation easement, which limits development on the property. They received, I think, $2 million for limiting the development on their property. And in exchange, there are a number of conditions that the easement places on the property, including, the placement of certain structures in the farm area. ADC and USDA's Natural Resource Conservation Service are co-holders of this easement, as in we're responsible for monitoring the terms of the easement. So we conduct annual inspections of the property by a third party, ORCD. And prior to this year's inspection in October, Park self-reported 2 potential violations. One was this high tunnel system, and the other was a container storage unit in the farming area. The container unit has been moved to a building envelope, so that's no longer a problem. The high tunnel system is an approved conservation practice by NRCS, but it's still a structure that requires holder approval. So Hark approached ADC to come into compliance with the terms of the conservation easement, and that's why we're here today to seek the board's approval for the high tunnel structures. If you refer to, I think it's Exhibit A or B, you'll see a letter there from NRCS concurring that this is an allowed practice and concurring with approval. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there any members of the public who wish to testify?
There is none, Chair.
Any board discussion? Lyle, I just have a question. So self-reported, but so do we have an inspection process in place?
Yeah, so we have an inspection agreement with ORCD. We're with Hawaii Agricultural Research Center, and we jointly contract, but Hark pays for it for third-party inspections. That's Oahu Resource Development Conservation District. The name escapes me at the moment. ORCD. They conduct the third-party inspections annually.
Okay, and when was the structures created?
I'm not quite sure when they were created. There recently, I think the high tunnel systems were still under construction, but the high tunnel systems were actually under construction through a grant from NRCS. So NRCS was aware of it. I'm not sure that the different divisions of NRCS were talking to each other on it, but it is funded actually through a NRCS grant.
I'm not no problem. I'm just asking because I think from a process, ADC procedures thing, I mean, if they hadn't self-reported, I mean, would we have known, right? I mean, and what are we doing?
We would have. We would have, because the inspections would have caught it.
Perfect, okay, thank you. That's all I had. Any other board member discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? Measures adopted. Moving on to item number 16. Requests to amend certain acreage details included in prior approval by the Board of Directors, authorizing the Executive Director to execute binding instruments, negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement, and conduct due diligence to facilitate the purchase of the fee simple interest in certain real property located east of Ma'alo Road on Hanama'ulu, Lihue, Kauai, County of Kauai, State of Hawaii, tax map key number 4-3-8-018001 portion. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, Board Member Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto.
And sorry, Chair, before you continue, I need to recuse myself on this item.
Thank you, Board Member Hinazumi.
Let's wait for him to.
Thank you. Is there any staff presentation?
That would be from,
Sorry.
or do you want to start, Lyle? Sorry,
No, if you want to handle it, feel free.
I feel like Chip and Dale. You first, go ahead. I'll add to you. Did you want to go?
I'll go, in the interest of getting through this. For the board's awareness, the board has already approved, authorized the executive director to do this. However, out of an abundance of caution, we are coming back to the board because I'm not sure that first submittal was clear that a portion of the property, approximately 40 acres, is going to, and that's agricultural land, that's land that's zoned agriculture, is going to be turned over to the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for the what's functionally the Kauai County Jail, or the Kauai Jail, state jail, Kauai County Correctional Center, something to that effect. And I think just recently, I just want the board to be aware, the DCR published in the recent edition of the environmental notice, an EIS preparation notice. And in that, they note the number of different permits and the different approvals that they'll be seeking from the county and the state in order to facilitate construction of the jail on this property. And it does include, Department of Planning, zoning, rezoning, land use, some DLNR permits, SHPD, et cetera. But it's essentially to reclassify roughly 40 acres of the property so that they can legally construct the correctional center.
Or may I add?
Sure.
So I want to be very clear that we're talking about 1,040 acres. We have funds for 1,000 acres. The DCR was given funds to acquire this. So they would be transferring that money to ADC to acquire on their behalf. They are not able to hold title. So the title would go to DLNR. We would not be holding title. And a big reason is they wanted to participate in the volume rate for the acquisition. So if you purchase just 40 acres, there is a much, much higher rate per acre versus if you're purchasing 1,000 acres, you have a very different rate. So they were planning to participate. The land is adjacent to us. It was not land that we identified. It was land they had identified and they had done due diligence on, and they have a survey company that they're working with, and they have offered to help co-fund and underwrite any and all surveys, topos, whatever we need to participate. And there will be some internal logistics in terms of bringing to the board an MOU that spells out a little bit more detail down the road. So the board can vote on that and how we will work together and transfer things. and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Wendy. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion?
There's a hand up there.
Oh,
No, no hand.
Oh,
no.
any
It's a
board
microphone.
discussion? I just have one. Thank you for the update and explaining that. So the ADC land is gonna be right next to this thing.
Yes.
I would just add, I mean, this is from my own personal experience, in our ag operations, but, ag labor is always hard to, find and, the prisons are always working for work furlough programs. And so we kind of need, if we could help with that too, or these guys could get some work experience while they're, and on the Department of Corrections, their furlough program. So anyway.
They're also a potential client for our tenants, an institutional purchaser.
Perfect.
Oh, good.
Also might be good to look at if you're gonna put up any processing facilities and stuff, it should go close to, right next to it, actually.
There's many opportunities for collaboration in this.
Chair,
Cool. Yep, Chair.
1,000 acres, not the 1,040.
So we would purchase 1,040 and 40 would go to DCR. DCR would be paying us for their 40 acres. It's not coming out of ours. We still keep our 1,000 acres.
So the previous board approval was for only 1,000 acres. So this adjusts it to 1,040.
Okay.
So how do you transfer that 40 acres to them? I mean, does it ownership and wise and everything else?
So we've had some meetings with the governor's office, with DLNR and the AG's office to figure out the logistics on how we do that. So it will be a learning experience.
I don't want to know that.
You can call Tricia back to. If,
I
go ahead.
I would just say, would look forward to seeing the MOU between DCR and ADC. Make sure that, we have something in writing that, we're not just helping to facilitate this, but there's actually some sort of benefit to agriculture. Because that's what we're in the business of. So.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Absolutely.
I heard Lyle and Wendy, if you guys address that concern and as you move to the process. Any further board discussion? Any objections or abstentions? Thank you. This measure is adopted.
Let's note that Dave, board member Hinazumi abstained and
Yes.
Deputy Director Wicker is
Oh, shoot.
not present.
I'm sorry. Do we have to do a roll call vote then, Jen?
You're muted.
I think he said.
Yes, because there's an abstention, you have to do a roll call. Oh, wait. Did he leave?
The vote.
He
Yeah, he
left.
left.
He wasn't in the room.
So he's not present for the meeting anymore, or is he just going to the bathroom?
He went outside at 11:34. He has not participated in any of the discussion.
No, but is he gone for the whole meeting? Like, is
He'll come back. We'll call him
okay, so
back
then
after
you have to
the
take a
vote.
roll call vote because he abstained. I
Okay.
mean, or I don't know. I think it's safer to take a roll call vote.
Will do. Okay, members, so the request is to amend certain acreage details included in prior approval by the board of directors authorizing the ED to execute binding instruments, negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement and conduct due diligence to facilitate the purchase of the fee simple interest in certain real property located east of Ma'ala Road on Hanama'ulu, Lihue, County of Kauai, State of Hawaii, tax map key number 4-3-8-018001 portion. It's been moved and seconded. If there's no more discussion, we will take a roll call vote on this matter. Board Member Cook,
Yes.
Board Member Hinazumi is excused. Right, abstained.
Abstained, yeah.
Board Member Hong.
Aye.
Board Member Hurd.
Aye.
Board Member Kahahane.
Aye.
Board Member Okimoto.
Aye.
Board Member Okuhama.
Yes.
Board Member Seddon.
Aye.
Board Member Trump.
Aye.
Board Member Watts votes aye. Board Member Wicker is excused. Measures adopted. Thank you. Moving on to item number 18.
Stop. You want to acknowledge 17 was previously heard.
Oh, yes. Item number 17 was taken out of order and previously heard. Moving on to item number 18. Well, wait for it. Item number 18, request to establish a permitted interaction group to evaluate the performance of the executive director on a semi-annual and annual basis pursuant to section 163D-3F Hawaii Revised Statutes. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Board Member Okimoto.
Second.
Is there a second? Chair Hurd. Thank you, Chair Hurd. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There is none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion?
Chair Watts, if I could be considered to be included on this PIG.
Sure.
Thanks.
Chair Watts?
Sure.
I'd like to request that we follow all the rules on the sunshine advisories that we've just recently received, as they seem to be easy to comply with. We just have to comply. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here. So what we're doing, so to comply with the sunshine law, the plan was to essentially turn the admin committee into a pig, the members of the admin committee, so they can meet privately to discuss with the ED and others like DHER, DBIT HR, and whoever else helps put these things together to evaluate, which is the by our bylaws, the admin committee is the evaluating committee. So the members of the PIG are, and I'm open to adding Board Member Trump to it. So the board members of the PIG are, of course, Chair Hinazumi. I think it was Board Member Wicker.
Yes, Deputy Director.
Do we have to vote on establishing?
No, I'm just trying to establish who
Yeah,
the admin committee is. Myself, and was there a fourth?
Kira.
Okay. And so, is there any objection? Well, I'm sorry, I'm getting over here. Anyone from the public? We said no. Any board discussion? Board Member Trump requested. Then this vote is to establish the PIG. Are there any objections or abstentions? Seeing none, the measure is adopted. And the chair will appoint members Hinazumi, Wicker, Kahane, Watts, and Trump to the PIG. Are there? Moving on to 19, sorry. Request for approval to authorize rent credits in the amount of $45,354 under license agreement LI-GA 1601 issued to Kelena Farms Incorporated for agriculture infrastructure improvements at the Galbraith agriculture lands at Wailua, Oahu, State of Hawaii, tax map key number 16-5-002-010 portion. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation? Ken?
Yes, really quick. Good morning, Chair, board members, and members of the public. Ken Nakamoto, project manager with ADC. Kelena Farms is currently operating the well and the Galbraith irrigation system, which ADC has an agreement with them to do. And this is just for a rent credit as they develop some storage ponds along our system to increase the capacity and efficiency. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Ken. Is there anyone from the public wishing to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Board Member Hahn.
Okay, is there a listing of expenses incurred totaling up to this amount?
Yes, we have an invoice.
Okay, So these are actual costs.
Yes.
That we're giving credits for.
Correct.
Any further questions? I just had one, Ken. So when was it? This is back pay, right? Or whatever. I just want to make sure that we worked out any kind of interest or any kind of accrual since they waited so long. If there is any, I don't know.
I think they were just looking for the hard costs. They were not looking for any interest.
Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? Measures adopted. Next one, item number 20 is a request for approval to dissolve a permitted interaction group established at a meeting of the Board of Directors on January 16, 2025 to develop policies and guidelines for the establishment and implementation of an agribusiness development corporation subsidiary related to the Entrepreneur Product Innovation Network Center project pursuant to section 163D-6 Hawaii Revised Statutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Trump. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. This is me. This is just it's just more of a housekeeping measure. The board in January established a PIG to consider the creation of subsidiaries to support the entrepreneur network facilities, but the PIG has never met, and so it's just to kind of remain compliant with the Sunshine Law. We don't want to just have pigs sitting if they're not doing anything. So since they haven't met, we'll just dissolve. But if in the future the board wants to reestablish the PIG for these purposes, you're welcome to do that. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Is seeing none, are there any objections or abstentions? Measures adopted. Thank you. Item number 21, request for approval to amend licensees utilization plan for license agreement number LI-K0804 issued to Wines of Kauai LLC to property in Kekaha, Waimea, Kauai, Hawaii. Tax map key number 41-2-002-001. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Hinazumi. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
Allison.
Yeah, so up, I think Sierra has her hand raised. Would you like to?
Sorry, go ahead, Board Member
first,
Kahane.
I can wait until after the presentation, perhaps.
There's a board discussion.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Allison, you can proceed.
Yeah, just a brief discussion. Just so you know, I believe Mike Faye from KAA is also on, and Jamie representing Wines of Kauai may be available. But this is an after-the-fact request. They're working with DOT on a road improvement project, which is just off of some of our Mauka lands up in Kokee off the highway. So they're basically assisting DOT and their contractor with storage of some of the materials because it is in such close proximity to the project. And this request is merely to amend their utilization plan to allow for this use, but it's really just a temporary use, I believe, for the next 2 years until 2027. So it's just a temporary use to assist with DOT and their project.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Wait,
Oh,
a hand went up.
sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Mike Faya.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
I don't really have anything to add, but I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to give testimony?
There's none, Chair.
Is there any board discussion? Deputy Director Kahane.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, maybe a question for staff or AG's office. I saw that these are public trust lands, AKA ceded lands, and I didn't see a public trust analysis in the materials.
The AG did review this submittal. There was no mention of the public trust analysis. I'm not sure if it's because it was a temporary use. I can't speak to why that wasn't addressed, but they did review this request.
I'm not sure why if the AG approved it. But did you want that to go back to us to explain?
Well,
or I could look into it.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Jennifer. But it is
because I did not review it. It's done by another attorney here.
I understand. I understand. So for me, I'll vote how I'll vote, based on the materials that we received, unless we're able to hear from council.
Did you want to condition the approval subject to confirmation that analysis is not needed by our department? Because I don't know if that was specifically asked, so you could do it to that and it could move forward, but it's subject to that confirmation. If the confirmation doesn't happen, then it doesn't move forward until it comes back.
Okay, that sounds like a good solution. Thank you.
So who made the motion to approve?
But I think, sorry, Jen, before we do that,
Okay,
I just wanted to make a comment. I guess this goes back to my whole process thing, right? And I want to clean this stuff up where I want to have policies, procedures. I don't want to be making things up.
Yeah, you can.
As we go, only because these things, there's precedents involved, and I feel like even with the previous approval, we got to follow those things going forward. So I want to make sure they're documented. So I guess, Jen, my question to you is, if the law requires the review, that's required, right? It's part of the process.
I didn't review this, nor did I look into the law. And I can understand why Member Kahahani is maybe a little more nervous, because I know we're the backup we're not we don't have a regular AG dedicated to ADC right now. And, without the sort of confirmation that that particular issue was looked into, if it had been your AG, probably for sure you would be more confident that had happened, or it would have been an explanation in here. You could also, I don't know if it's going to cause a problem to defer. That could also be bad.
That's my next question.
I was just trying to give a way to move it forward.
Oh, no worries. I appreciate the advice. I guess but I also want to be respectful of the law and respectful of the why these requirements exist.
Chair, it's not wrong to direct the office from now on, maybe if it is public lands, to at least mention it. If it's not one, to mention that, why there isn't an analysis, that it wasn't required for some reason, just something of mention so that the members feel better. That's certainly not as a policy. That's a policy you could have in the submittals from now on, so that you feel better about what you're receiving and reading, and that this was looked into.
Yeah. I think it's a big deal.
Yes.
So I appreciate Deputy Director Kahahani bringing it up. I'm Allison, is there, if we defer the matter one more month to conduct the analysis, it's already,
it's occurring, so I don't know if it really matters if you defer it at this point, unless you want them to cease the operations. That would create problems.
I would hope in the future that we can get to a point where we're not approving things after the fact, and we want to work to that, Wendy. So, but I want to be respectful of the process. I want to follow the law. So I'm going to defer the matter until Deputy Director Kahahani's concerns can be addressed. If there's no objections.
Thank you, Chair.
Item number 21 is deferred. Well, we're-
You did it.
Dexter.
Actions by 11:58.
Okay, so, go ahead, sorry.
Chair, I'm not sure if this was deferred or just moved on the agenda, but item D1. I know that at the time, member.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Chair Hinazumi. We deferred presentation of the admin committee report.
Yeah, I think they took it out of order on the agenda to allow you to come.
Yes, so before we go to the information items, if you don't mind, we will defer here.
Which three?
Oh, there's the number one.
You have it?
Oh, here it is. Right, members. Going back to section D, item number 1 is committee and permanent interaction group reports. We do have a report from the from Chair Hinazumi, admin committee report, November 21st, 2025.
Thank you, Chair. And we also had a meeting in December as well. So we've, since our last regular board meeting, we've had 2 administration committee meetings. The basic topics we are covering, financial reports to see how we are doing, status reports on our contracts and appropriations. And then also that kind of rolls into the timing for our any budget requests. So one thing that was brought up in committee is that the budget requests haven't been coming in front of the full board. So we are working on a process where any budget requests for the upcoming fiscal years will get to administration committee and the board roughly by May of the calendar year. Gives us enough time to vet that through 1 up to 2 additional meetings in order to make sure staff can get the submittals in on a timely basis. Please, everybody on the board, take a look at the what staff has been putting together in the administration committee reports. In terms of financials right now, we are reviewing the 2025 end of 2025 fiscal year. You will see budget to actual, and one of the big things, for one, of course, making sure that our agency is moving according to what we had planned. If there are a number of variances that will require some further explanation, making sure we are accounting for that properly. Also, some just general reports on how we are doing for this coming 2026 first quarter. In terms of the revenues and expenses that we have, again, making sure we are accounting for things and getting our work done that we need properly and ideally on budget. And then what was just discussed as far as the PIG for executive directors, 6-month and 1-year review. That is another item, personnel, that falls under the administration committee. So we want to follow up based off of the PIG that was previously formed, and they had submitted the report in June, and we've got a number of measurables, and then we're going to be reviewing that, through the PIG and then also at the administration committee. So those are the basic topics we are covering. Please review, and if there's any feedback, please share that with us.
Thank you, Chair Hinazumi. Is there any public testimony?
There is none.
Any members of the board have any questions? Seeing none, we will move to, wait, we don't have to vote to adopt that, or we just, that's just,
I think that's just his report. I guess if you want to move to accept it, you can, but I don't think it's legally required.
thank you, Jen. We'll move to item F. Presentation by the State Sustainability Coordinator with the Danielle Bass with the Hawaii Office of Planning and Sustainable Development regarding an overview of state climate and sustainability statutory mandates and a brief overview of the Integrated Land Use Study, Act 187, Session Laws of Hawaii, 2025.
Aloha. Good afternoon. Aloha, Chair, Executive Director, members of the board, and the staff. Mahalo for this opportunity to present to you today. I'm always very eager to work on agricultural issues. It's very close to home, literally, to me. So coming from Central Oahu, it's a passion of mine. My name is Danielle Bass, as Chair has mentioned. I am the State of Hawaii Sustainability Coordinator. And for those who don't know, that is a statewide coordinator position, similar to the State Homelessness Coordinator, as well as the State Disaster Recovery Coordinator. I'm here to present to you today just a friendly reminder of the many sustainability and climate statutory mandates that our governors and legislators have passed, as well as provide a brief overview of the integrated land use study that Office of Planning and Sustainable Development will be beginning quite soon. So just as a brief reminder, before we go into this, I do want to remind everyone that there are 24 statutory mandates for sustainability and climate. And I appreciate Chair Hurd this morning, who mentioned the 2050 goals earlier this morning. And what I like to remind many of the audiences in this presentation is that as of today, 2050 is in fact closer than the year 2000. So, that's a humbling thought. And so, it does sound far away, it does sound long off, but this is something that we need to look at more integratedly and holistically. So let's go to the next slide. I'm going to try to break down 24 laws in a timeline manner. Again, we're closing out 2025. We've had laws on the books already from the legislature and our governors to actually mandate emissions to be below 1990 levels. We did accomplish that in 2020. The RPS, which requires the state utilities to achieve 30%, we did achieve that as a state in 2020. And of course, recently the state legislature and governor enacted a statewide coal ban that was implemented in 2022. So looking at us now in 2025, the Farm to State Local Food Purchasing requires the Department of Health, the Public Safety Department, I have to update that, as well as the Department of Defense and UH, as you know, must purchase 10% of their products and food from local sources. So let's move on forward. This is where it gets overwhelming, right? There's a lot of talk of 2045. There's a lot of talk about 2050. But just 4 years from now, in 2030, we have 7 laws to achieve, including reducing that greenhouse gas emissions limit to match, to actually be 50% below 2005 levels, to increase our renewable energy portfolio and generation to 40% by 2030. As of today, we're at 36% statewide. So we have some work to go to in terms of renewable energy generation. With the challenges facing us moving forward. Our energy efficiency portfolio. So we're seeing a more electrified society. We're seeing so many apps, computers, electric robot vacuums, right? So we're seeing a lot more electric vehicles. And so while we're pivoting to renewable energy, we want to be mindful to be more energy efficient, to bring the usage down in consumption levels. So we're mandated as a state, and the Public Utilities Commission is required to enforce that the state reduces 4,300 gigawatts of electricity use by 2030. The state is also required to transition to light energy vehicle or zero emission vehicles. So that's not excluded to electric vehicles. This can be zero emissions as well. So hydrogen's a part of that conversation, especially for the island of Hawaii, which is more practical. Local food production goal, of course, I know that this group is very aware that the state is required to double local food production and exports by the year 2030. As well as the DOE is mandated to purchase 30% of their food from local sources by the year 2030 as well. And the farm to state goal advances to 18% for those other state agencies that are not mandated as the DOE. Moving on to 9 years from now in 2035, of course, the DOE net zero energy goal. So all 200 plus campuses that the Department of Education public school system is mandated to be net zero, meaning that they need to produce as much clean energy as they consume. That also, that same mandate of net zero energy is passed on to the University of Hawaii to be achieved by the year 2035 as well for all campuses. The good news there is right before the COVID pandemic, it was LCC and UH Maui campus, so Maui no Ka'oi. Those were the two campuses of the university system that hit 99 and 100% of clean energy production, and they hit their net zero mandate quite early, if you think about it. That state fleet vehicle, zero emissions vehicle mandate is expanded to larger vehicles, not just small passenger vehicles. So that's just on the state government. That's not on the residents of Hawaii. So I have to just clarify that. And the farm to state goal advances some more to 26% by the year 2035. Next slide, please. So now we're hitting 15 years away. At the year 2040, the renewable portfolio standard of clean renewable energy production is now expanded to 70%. Again, as a friendly reminder, as of today, we're at 36. So that's a lot of work ahead in terms of what does that look like in terms of renewable energy production by the year 2040. And the farm to state local food purchasing goal expands to 34% by 2040. Going to 2045, there's a lot of popularized messaging on what 2045 looks like. That's 19 years away from today, or from, sorry, excuse me, I guess New Year's. The renewable portfolio standard is now must be achieved to be 100% renewable energy generated across the state of Hawaii. We are also mandated to obtain a zero emission clean economy by the year 2035. That's codified in HRS 225P-5, and that mandates that the state as not the state government, the state as a greater entity must sequester more carbon than it emits. So that is a mandate that was recently passed. That energy efficiency mandate that I discussed earlier, that is now expanded to reduce 6,000 gigawatts of use statewide by the year 2045. One thing that is close to my heart that a lot of people seem to forget is that there's a water mandate and a water reclamation goal to be that all state facilities and all county facilities by the year 2045, December 31st, 100% must use reclaimed water with the exception of potable and drinkable uses. So that's codified in the state water plan and was codified in, I believe it was 2016, 2017. And again, we're moving forward on the benchmarks of farm to state by hoping to achieve 42% by the year 2045 for local food purchasing. And finally, 2050, again, closer to us today than the year 2000. The farm to state goal is now expanded. We brought in the Department of Education back into this mandate, where they also must purchase with the rest of the farm to state purchasers, that they need to acquire 50% of their food from local sources. A similar mandate to be achieved by 2050 is that all cesspools must be upgraded, converted, and connected to sewage systems. That, according to the Department of Health, is 88,000 cesspools statewide that we have to put in a lot of infrastructure and funding for. So before we move to the next slide, I just wanted to, it's a heavy kuleana, right? When we're thinking about sustainability, when we're thinking about these climate mandates, it's a lot. And so it's a holistic approach. And what we've been noticing so far in these conversations of, competing needs between agricultural and local food production and renewable energy and even a non-quote sustainability and climate mandate, our housing goals of 64,000 set by the governor units. These become very competing uses when we zoom out and look at the 4 million acres of land of the state of Hawaii. And so I'd like to pivot to the next slide now to discuss the statewide integrated land use study. This is a first of its kind land use study that we're very thankful that the legislature passed as Act 187 this past session. It's being led by our office, the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, with a direct tie to the entire Department of Business and Economic Development and Tourism. So we're working hand in hand on that. And I just want to mahalo Deputy Director Wicker, who's been taking a lot of the lead on this study right now, because while he's been leading it from a DBED perspective, bringing in so many DBED sister agencies of OPSD so that we can coordinate better together in terms of energy mandates and water mandates and agricultural mandates. I've been trying to stand up, get the monies released. You guys were briefed by Wendy on how long that takes. So we're trying to stand up that study while Deputy Director Wicker has been leading it. The intent of this law is to respond to the competing demands of Hawaii's limited land resources. So that's the housing, energy, water, and agricultural nexus that so many of us are frustrated by. And the idea here is to integrate the data across state and county agencies, as well as utility partners and so many stakeholders in ag, in housing, in energy, and climate programs, and try to get this data to work together. Right? So let's try to visualize what doubling local food production looks like on our lands, on our farmlands, on our state lands. Well, let's try to visualize what renewable energy for 100% and 70% by certain dates. What does that look like while we're also juggling housing demands, right? And so this is the idea of connecting it all and identify what land is needed where to meet Hawaii's sustainability mandates and align the coordination. So this is a data-driven and foundation to future land use. It is just a study. I really want to caution that. It's first of its kind. OPSD has never done this before. And this is an idea of, we're not reforming the land use process. This is an idea of what does this look like? And can these mandates be achieved? Just very, I guess, on an implementation perspective, can we feasibly achieve this in an affordable and logical way? So the idea here is to support climate resilience and balance growth to protect Aina while strengthening our economy and our communities. So I just wanted to provide a brief overview of this law. Again, we're experiencing some delay in terms of beginning that standing up. So I just want to mahalo DBED one more time for putting that together while we're putting the tinkering together. We have a report due to the legislature and the State Land Use Commission by next year, so around this time next year, of what does that look like. And I hope to come back to you to show some of these maps and provide an interim report or update. I'd be happy to, and I'm working with many of our energy stakeholders, our agricultural stakeholders, which thanks to the department, we are mandated to work with agricultural stakeholders, which of course, OPSD loves to work with. So not a problem for us, and as well as try to integrate the housing stakeholders so that we can all kind of step out of these kuleanas that we carry on individual mandates and missions that we are working on, look at Hawaii more holistically and see how can we. So I just want to mahalo you all for that opportunity. And that completes my presentation. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
I know you've been working on this for a long time, even before you had this job. But it's good to see a lot of it happening. And I think it was useful for ADC, the data you're collecting on in that study. Our agribusiness plan is almost completed, but I can see that thing informing that plan, going forward. Can you go back to the slides? I just want to ask a couple questions about the one with the timeline.
It's all a timeline.
Because I know, one more, this one. Because I know like it's already affecting us, right? I mean, the mandate on the vehicles where we have to buy vehicles that are less, whatever. But of course they operate in a certain high terrain environments or whatever. But as for the farming use and reclaimed water, how is that going to affect our farmers? Because I mean, they're on, I mean, according to that, would they be required to use?
I'd like to
water?
say that we did not rehearse this interaction. So we've been working for over 15 years with the County of Honolulu on a large reclamation project. And with this last ledge year, we received $4 million, which will help us complete the design of basically taking all of the wastewater effluent coming out of the Wahiawa wastewater treatment facility and routing an entirely new system for basically capturing the water and getting it to the farms that could use it, in addition to the golf courses, and really taking the pressure off of the aquifer. And you and I did not talk about that. So I just want to say that wasn't like so we are right in the throes of this. And, we're kind of projecting by 2030, we would know based on the design, how much it would cost to actually build that entire infrastructure out.
Because I'm just concerned because we have lessees, right? And as they are getting, doing these leases, they are identifying crops they want to grow. And if this, this kind of tells you what you can grow, right? I mean, you need to grow something that uses this water. So I just kind of want to know, like, I mean, are we talking to our farmers about the eventuality that?
Well, is there also like discussions with the feds about using some of this reclaimed water for more agricultural uses? Because the cleanliness of the water is gotten to the point where it's drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we go to the feds and have them, approve the use of this water for ag overall and not have the restrictions of
No, it's a good point, because it's the same thing with DOE, right? Like the Asian vegetables, right? I mean, there's a lot of vegetables that grow in Hawaii that aren't even on the USDA's approved list, but are way more healthy than what we have in the continent, right? So the same kind of concept where, I mean, or do we have to advocate with the feds to address this? And if we do, we should start planning for that, because that would affect our lessees.
It would be huge.
There are programs, and the reclaimed water, no matter what you say, it doesn't have, a good reputation among the public, right? They call it blue water. So the projects that we're working on are for irrigation water, for the reclaimed water. The foliar irrigation will continue to be R1. But yeah, so those are the kinds of projects that we're working on. And to make a point, the episodic rain that we're going through right now, we need to capture that rain and reclaim it, because it comes more and more frequently. Yeah, and so those are the kinds of projects that Leslie's working on, or she's looking to see. So, yeah, so much water is coming down all at once.
Yeah.
Not on Maui. I checked the map.
Except you.
Yeah, but to that point too, right? Like those systems and how our current way of doing things, we turn all this fresh water into wastewater when we could, capture. But I think we should start looking into that. I mean, that can affect especially since some of these farmers may have to, retrain, or it's different if there's changes, right? But I definitely support Board Member Okimoto, though. If we can lobby or we can talk to the feds or whatever about, or education, PSAs about how R1 is changing and it's essentially drinkable.
I would just jump in on that, and this is a simplified version of those laws, right? Because this is public facing, right? When I come around and make presentations about 24 laws about a bunch of mandates, it's not a fun conversation. But I try to reflect this. I would probably remind you folks, as well as even defer to the Attorney General, I do recall that that water mandate, that reclaimed water mandate is specifically focused on the word facilities. And so I think that's an opportunity to figure out the definition of what is a state facility in that retrospect. But I would of course defer to the Attorney General's department on that.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I do want to, can we have a copy of that? Of course, I think we
Of
do,
course.
because if anybody listens to the Department of Agriculture Biosecurity testimony this coming lead session, that's going to be everywhere.
Please, I put it in all my testimony and I remind everyone about these mandates, especially when I start state legislature, so that they can fund these initiatives.
And it's not just us, the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, it's all state agencies
Yes.
need to do this. It's a
Yes.
responsibility for everybody, so.
Yes.
it's-
You'll note in the actual presentation that I cite all the laws, so you can easily look it up when you're relaxing, looking at the HRS.
And then another question I had was on vehicles, that's just state vehicles, or is that like state vehicles operating on state lands? I mean,
Public
vehicles,
funds.
public,
Public
public.
funds, yeah,
Okay.
but they do have a carve out for heavy duty four-wheel drive trucks, because there's not one made today that qualifies. So you can buy carbon-based trucks right now.
I just want to
Very
make sure.
good specific, so you see, there was originally a passenger light duty vehicle mandate. And then it was expanded to non-passenger light duty vehicles. So there are steps built in these laws where it's benchmarking. The original, I believe, the original drafter of that law was trying to go for heavier duty. That did not pass, but the idea is there. This is before the Ford F-150 Lightning came out, right? And so when you're starting to look at that, yours is phased and benchmarked, yes.
Okay, Board Member Cook, you had a question?
Yeah, are you also going to be looking at the soil classification system with this study and recommending any changes there? Because, you know, there's a lot of talk about inaccuracies in that system.
Well, the exciting part of that, yes, is the answer. PSD did recently publish a soil classification study. I believe we contracted and published that about a year and a half ago, if not sooner. So when I start crafting the contracting and the RFP, that will be a mandate to our contractors to make sure that everything's aligned. One passion of mine in this role is to align all the things, because you can't really implement or execute sustainability or even long-term planning without everything looking at holistically and just integrating with one another. So that's not my intent at all to exclude it. And absolutely, we're gonna develop off of that soil classification study and keep working forward.
And there's I believe New York has a system where folks that do renewable energy on ag zone land have to pay a fee into some kind of an account to support agriculture since they're taking over ag land. It's just something I wanted to point out. New York's done some work in that area.
Right on. Thank you so much, Board Member.
Chair. I wanted to acknowledge what you were saying in terms of our agribusiness plan is in development. The permitted interaction group members are yourself, Chair Hurd, Board Member Cook, Deputy Director Wicker, and
Sarah Cahoon. Sarah.
the Deputy Director from DLNR. One of the things that we have the ability to address, and it's in our statute, is not only federal policy recommendations, but also state and local. So perhaps a takeaway from the board is, if you're aware of federal, state, or local policies that need to be changed, please reach out to the big members.
Well, I think that's a good idea, but before that, I mean, if there's a way to, when you guys have time in between everything, kind of break down what Danielle has presented and how that affects ADC, right? So we can focus on the specifics of you're doing a lot of work. And it's just you, right?
That's right.
Actually, I get a staff person now. So thanks to the integrated land use study. Yes, I've been in this role for 8 years, since before I was at the state legislature, working on water and land and of course agriculture. But in this role in the past 8 years, it's been about developing a programmatic framework, getting the agencies to work together and actually build a state agency on sustainability and climate. So that's kind of been the work for the last few years. And we're excited about what this study could serve for us. And it's the first of its kind, and we'll see how this navigates forward. It's exciting. But thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you all, and I hope to be back soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, public testimony?
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
saying-
Is there any members of the public who have questions?
There's none, Chair.
Any further board member questions? If not, thank you, Danielle.
Mahalo nui.
Item number 2, a presentation by Dexter Kishida, Climate Resiliency Manager with the Hawaii Department of Transportation regarding food distribution, logistics, and the role of Hawaii Island transportation infrastructure in supporting ag markets.
Give me 1 second, sorry to get set up.
No worries. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Apologies, last meeting I had to run, so I wasn't able to do this. We're going to take a flashback to Hawaii Island. But actually some of the agenda items today, as well as last time, are perfectly poised and part of the discussion today. As we look at Hawaii Island food security through the lens of DOT, we can fast forward actually into 2 slides. There's a few things that really come out and distill to the top of the list as we look to build a resilient, efficient, and secure ag transportation network. Next slide, please. Some of the challenges, of course, is Hilo is our longest route from Oahu. And so that's not only at cost, but time as well. And so one of the things that's needed is affordable refrigeration, and really on both sides of the island by both ports. In Hilo's side, one of the specific examples that I'd like to share is for our floriculture industry, who usually is pretty good on timing, but every so often, even though we rank one of the best, if not the best in the nation for state airport transportation and consistency, a plane breaks down or something happens, and those flowers then sit near or on the tarmac. And so having refrigeration capacity near the ports give the ability in those rare but definitely possible circumstances to keep products fresh and at top quality compared to what happens where the farmer is the one who absorbs really the full cost of destroyed product when it's like that. Not only for nursery products, though, we're looking at really the whole swath of ag needs that I've shared, I think, on every island. On Hawaii Island, it feels exacerbated because of the volume of products that are coming off the island to what I was told recently by somebody on Hawaii Island, the Eater Island. And so as they ship it to the Eater Island, there's significant volume that comes over. And then support for ranching, again, because of volume on the island, not only the capacity to transport live animals, because our main slaughter capacity is on Oahu, but also once they're boxed, making sure that can go back and forth efficiently. Next slide, please. So some of the goals that we have is to restore direct air transport for the cattle industry. And we're pretty close. The goal was January. It looks like because of the provider, we're going to be a little past January, but currently they need to put cattle on a barge, send it here before it goes to the continent for the calf industry. We're going to be working on just direct air from Hawaii Island. That'll cut down both, since Danielle is here, carbon footprint, but also just better for the cattle. Also, I was going to ask and talk about the streamlining of the Island Ag discount program that Young Brothers currently has, but instead I can flip it to, in the decision and order in the rate increase, the PUC actually stated that the Island Ag discount program needed to be better defined. And in the current program, it's really raw ag products that only count. It's now been redefined or better defined to also include lightly processed items. So my perfect example on Hawaii Island was the Ulu Cooperative. Their products actually, once it's processed, cut, par-baked or parboiled and frozen, didn't qualify or doesn't qualify. versus in the PUC decision, it now does. So some of your, as we're shipping inter-island, some of your tenants may now qualify if they're especially using the Value Add Product Development Center in Waihawa. Or as the island networks expand, will now be able to utilize this discount program as well. The other piece is the shared logistics. And in Hilo, talking to ADC staff, there may be some immediate capacity that we can spin up in some land that ADC has acquired or either acquired or near acquired in Hilo area to work on shared logistics. And that really goes to the fourth point of increasing off-port consolidation to keep the ports moving and humming. A lot of the consolidation needs to happen off-port, but what does that look like? And this could look like actually some opportunities for our associations to maybe working with current distributors or aggregators to work on consolidation and full container loads and really maximizing transportation potential. In Kona, the increased capacity for refrigeration is needed, but it needs to be at a cost that our folks can afford. The problem is refrigeration is expensive. And so utilizing one of the ADC or some of the ADC, what you're able to do, I'm trying to figure out another word, but superpowers, thank you, Executive Director, in microgrids, et cetera, I think ADC is able to put together some, I don't want to say inexpensive because power is still going to cost something, but power or refrigeration that can be cost effective for our ag industry. And then specifically because you were at NELA, our host, I did want to touch on aquaculture. And one of the things that DOT is working on is pulling together the regulatory agencies, and this was actually in coordination with UHCTAR, to look at the regulations that we have currently that may be throttling some of the growth of aquaculture. And not to say that we want to relieve that and not worry about what comes in, but there's got to be a good balance in what regulations are in the books and how we can overcome them. And is there science? This is where Dean Rewald was saying, science can actually overcome some of these challenges today. So how can we better work together on supporting that? One of the things that was mentioned specifically of Host Park is labor. And one of the challenges with labor is housing. And so workforce housing was a piece that NELHA and Host Park tenants said would be huge. And it doesn't have to be single family homes for them. It could be more group type settings or apartment-ish complexes. But if those kinds of buildings could be established specifically for agricultural workforce, that's a place of investment that even the private and public sector, I think, can come together on to help better develop and support growing the industry. Along with aquaculture growth is looking at additional park space. Now that's great, but having one on Oahu is something that we definitely need to look at. The aquaculture industry thinks this is necessary. And also, what does both offshore, not only onshore, but offshore look like? Because in Hawaii, we definitely appreciate saltwater fish more than freshwater varieties or species. We need to look at both and what that's going to take. And really the saltwater mariculture could also be on land. Similar to NELHA, it doesn't have to be a deep drop or cool, deep ocean water. There are other models that are out there that we can implement. And so looking at lands that are capable of pumping in salt water, it's that infrastructure that is just expensive to maintain. And as a private company, you need significant investment to maintain the redundancies in a park setting, versus the state can take that on and distribute that amongst multiple tenants. And so the last piece usually is the request for ADC. Again, the data collection is key. Without that, we're steering the ship blindly. And so working with tenants to know what is being produced, how much is being produced. On the flip side, us looking at different manifesting and bills of lading type technologies that can maybe better capture this kind of data is going to be key as well. Additional infrastructure, as you discussed, but also this public-private partnerships for ag logistics is something that in discussions with multiple companies across the state, there's definite interest in looking at partnerships, be it around cold chill facilities or further processing, or even light processing or chill cooling plants. There's been private interest in partnering, but they also don't want to bear the full risk. And that's where maybe the state can play and ADC can play a de-risker in this plan. And again, I appreciate Chair and Director bringing DOT to the table to continue ongoing collaboration. So as if there are any permitted interaction groups that we can attend or help to work with, I definitely offer my time and ask that DOT be requested to participate, be it infrastructure, land, etc. But thank you very much for your time.
So a little background on some of the.
I think he has to ask for public input first.
Thank you, Dexter. Is there any public testimony?
There is none, Chair.
Any board member discussion? Board member Hung.
Yeah, so some of the background on Island Ag discount that's. I used to work at Young Brothers, and when I got there, there was a pre-existing Island Ag discount program, and the company used the definition of Island Ag product that was used by the state, especially the DOT, where Island Ag products received, as defined, received a discounted wharfage fee rate. And then so Young Brothers applied that consistently to that definition. And then in fact, in the 90s, we expanded the discount to a higher percentage discount because it was relatively contained and targeted. And then there was a lot of lobbying to the legislature about adding things that had nominal Island Ag content, highly processed, and I guess to the point where a significant portion of volume could have gotten discounts at that point. At that point, you're looking at an entire revenue requirement that becomes unsustainable. And so maintaining the discount to the defined Island Ag products as established by the state, it was manageable. If that discount expanded to 40, 50, 60% of total goods going out there, then that's not sustainable. Or you have to raise your rates so much for everything else. So you have to understand that there's a revenue requirement just to be able to manage the operation. So if the state really wanted to have that type of discount, is perspective at the time was that the state could provide their own subsidies to it.
And actually, I'm sure there's going to be a few pieces of legislation around that to see what would the externalization of this Island Ag discount program look like. Fully agree.
Okay. Any other board discussion? I just would add to his point too, because I think like the Maui Farm Bureau, right? The discussion. There's a lot of people, farmers, ranchers, the inputs. Sometimes they didn't apply for the discount. They didn't get the discount. But I know like they would call, complain about it, and then they would give it to them or whatever. But the inputs like fertilizer that plays directly into the farmer's operation, the food operation. But also too, like for like DAB, I mean, I think when it's expensive, right? Then they start doing creative things, and then you might get foreign materials or whatever, and then like quality of that type of pesticide or fertilizer or whatever decreases, and in some cases, in some countries, you wouldn't even know for sure what's in it, right? So I think like if they could consider some of the inputs,
in conversations with the cross-sector of ag, boxes probably is the number one request. If we had to be specific about an item, but like if you can just include boxes, it'd be huge. Yeah, interesting, right? But it's a huge, because of food safety now, it's not like you can reuse it. So because it's a constant input as well.
Well, I understand that also, like things like fertilizer and fiberboard and all that. That's not produced here, for the most part. And it comes Trans-Pacific. And so that's usually a single rate West Coast to Hawaii. I think Masset now has an inter-island surcharge for that.
Right.
So that's the interstate carrier that owns that.
Thank you. One of the points was data collection. And I think if I have a word for at least DAB for 2025, it's data. Then you add the next word, could be collection, analysis, driven decisions, you know. So I'm looking at Jesse on the screen right now, and Ulupono I'm aware of a survey that Ulupono conducted in the aquaculture field through the Hawaii Aquaculture and Aquaponics Association, asking for data, like, what do you guys want? What does the industry want to move aquaculture forward? And we'll see from that. We'll certainly give you share the information with the group, but that should be it should be ready to come out. I think the deadline was before Ledge, so we would get some data to put into a legislation that we could move forward.
Funny you say that, because part of the reason we started talking about aquaculture too is I ran into your veterinarian, Micah. He wouldn't stop talking to me for like an hour.
I know,
And so
he's
I
passionate,
said,
he's
"You can
passionate.
go on the agenda, you can tell the board," but he had a lot of things to say about shrimp and some other things. So I thought Mike Irish would benefit from that. He has some very strong opinions on some.
Especially how to prevent disease in the industry. Yeah.
Maybe January. He
Maybe
was
he was not available.
indisposed today.
Right.
Anyway, thank you, and I hope you're working with Leslie too, right, to figure out any kind of DOT DAB infrastructure stuff.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, Wendy, you sit. Your last one.
Wendy,
I always like when I get to go last.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, presentation by Wendy Gady, ED, ADC, on the East Kauai irrigation and water distribution system, including ADC's role, status of the right of entry, interagency coordination, and key considerations related to the potential acquisition, management responsibilities, and operational and financial implications, risk and liability considerations, and operational continuity. And I asked Wendy to add this to the agenda because she was recently before the BLNR on this matter, and they kind of split our docket, approved a couple of things, but deferred some others for 6 months. So I kind of wanted to make sure the board was aware of that.
We're experiencing some technical difficulties, but I think we'll go ahead and.
Just texted Mark, he's gonna share.
Okay, but I do have a formal presentation to give. To your point, let's back up to say it didn't just start on Friday. It really started in early September of 2023. In my second week on the job, I spent 9 days on Kauai. That was the longest period of time any ED had ever spent on Kauai. And one of the things that kept coming up from the community was the East Kauai irrigation system and the threat of decommissioning the entire system, and the impact to food production on Kauai and the impact to current customers of the East Kauai irrigation system. And so I did go and walk the system and parts of it with several of the users, and, in essence said, we can't carry your water, literally. So if you want this, you're going to have to advocate it, at the ledge for positions and for money. And you're going to have to show up, you're going to have to testify, and you're going to have to fly in. And without a doubt, the community rose. And so this was really not an ADC driven thing. And I would encourage the board to look at the testimony that was submitted from individuals and entities on Kauai for the BLNR meeting on Friday. Let's go to the next slide.
So you can see Mark show.
Okay, Mark, can you go to the next slide? I wanted to give a lot of, I'm not getting paid by the word. It kind of looks like I am, but there's just a robust history, to say the least, in terms of the original plan was that 79% of 6,700 acres was irrigated by this system. And the system is gravity flow, which makes it very attractive because it removes a lot of the energy costs. Even though there's quite a bit of rainfall, I think, you know, what we are experiencing here on Oahu, and I hate to keep singling out Maui, is, you know, as we're looking at our ag strategic plan, the chair was saying, okay, so of our water, you know, how much has adequate water and how much has, you know, a need for water? And the answer 24 months ago would have been very different than what it is right now because of the drought condition. So in the past, what was adequate is no longer adequate because we were counting on that rainfall and the rain hasn't fallen. Having said that, Kauai is getting lots of rain right now. Next slide. So the East Kauai irrigation system, and I do have a map coming up, basically services 5,920 acres of ag land. The last customer is actually the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And DLNR has been on a flight path to decommission the system, having put millions of dollars into upgrading the reservoirs to meet dam safety standards. Then they're planning to decommission. So nobody likes to be put in a corner, but it literally is kind of a last ditch effort that, no pun intended, I didn't think about that, that if in fact it's not of interest after doing the due diligence at ADC, the system will in fact be shut down. And the system it was operated by a group of farmers, of which I think one might be listening in or calling in. Jerry Ornelas, who has a robust history, and in 2013, it just became overwhelming for the group. And so the operation and maintenance of the system was transferred back to DLNR. And I think everybody knows there's a difference between operating a system and maintaining a system. And so the system has fallen into a little bit of disrepair. Let's keep going. Having said that, at the board meeting on Friday, it was kind of the culmination of the last year in which it was April 17th that the ADC board voted at a board meeting to pursue the East Kauai irrigation system. And I can provide you guys with a submittal if you don't have one. And on Friday last week, it was a culmination of, you know, literally 27 months of working with the Kauai community and a year and a half in working with the land division of DLNR to get on the BLNR agenda. And there has been a lot of turnover in the land division. And so we thought we're working with the land division, and we didn't realize, you know, there were 2 other divisions within DLNR that also needed to be brought to the party. And so that was a big reason for the pause on Friday, was to say, let's include all the divisions in, you know, including DAR and Doe Care, to make sure that they're okay. And we're all figuring out, you know, is this a perpetual easement or is it going to be an EO? And that has repercussions on us, because when we submitted a grant request to the feds for a defense community infrastructure partnership grant, which was worth over $19 million, and it was a no match. So we'd like to try that again. We had to provide all the documentation that said we have control of this system. We have an EO. All of that had to be provided. And they did say, we're a little nervous about these easements because they can come and go. But, you know, knowing that you have command and that you can command it for the long term is a concern. I'm not going to read this. It's all for you guys later. Next slide. Oh, next slide, Mark. So the ledge did hear the community and provided 3 full-time positions. Those are for 3 water workers. And they also enlarged our org chart to include a Kauai water manager and a Kauai property manager. And of those 5 positions, we have filled 4. So if anybody knows of a Kauai water worker, we're looking for 1 more candidate. They also provided over $500,000 in funds for equipment. So the equipment has been purchased, the equipment has been shipped in. We've purchased trucks and excavators. And as of Friday of last week, we have a right of entry for due diligence. And that really is what our right of entry is for. And we're getting in to take a look at what is the state of the system, because we haven't really technically been allowed to do that. And this kind of gives you an overview. The portions of the ditch that we are looking at do include the Stable Storm, the Wailua Ditch Intake, the Kapa'a Stream Branch. It does not include all the Blue Hole diversion all the way at the top. And it's one of these things where if you don't have water, you don't farm. And so there's been inconsistent water in the system. So some of the customers are no longer farming, but have said, if we are going to see consistent water, we're going to get back in. There is a parcel of about 65 acres on the Midler lands in which a cooperative has a license to put small and emerging farmers. That would be one of the tenants that we would, or one of the customers that we would ultimately have for the system. Mark, next slide. So in April, the board voted to request a set aside from DLNR. In June, our staff started from the management side and started holding meetings with the individual users and walking the ditch. In November, 2 of the 3 water systems workers were started. And in December 12th, we received the right of entry. We still have a lot of work ahead of us in terms of due diligence with DOFA, DLNR, CWORM, and DHHL has offered that they will set up meetings on our behalf to meet with the DHHL beneficiaries, who are the folks that would actually be farming the land. And there's due diligence regarding the business planning and risk and financial projections and operational plans. So those are things that we have to develop on behalf of the organization, but we really haven't had the opportunity. Without a right of entry, we really shouldn't be in there doing those kinds of things. So next slide, Mark, is for questions. And I guess we would pause and say, are there questions from the community before we say there's questions from the board? I don't know if Jerry is still on. I think he had wanted to talk. I don't see him.
No, and I'm not seeing
Any other questions?
no questions from the public, Chair.
Okay.
Board members, any questions?
I gotta take off.
Do you have any questions before you leave? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to get you guys an update on what was presented to DLNR. So thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Number 4, deferred. Board member Okimoto's leaving. Happy holidays. Number 5, executive director's report, including an update on current agency projects. As always, Wendy has it on the website, so please feel free to check out the website. There's no objections from the members. Having no further business before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Did we,
Did
we defer the Mililani Tech Park? Sorry, did I miss that?
Yes, that was item 4 and it was deferred.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Chair, go ahead.
Yeah. Having no further business before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? Chair Hurd has offered. May I have a second?
Second.
Second. Member Hong, thank you. If there's no objections or abstentions, hearing none, the motion is unanimously approved. Meeting is adjourned at 12:56.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays, everybody. See some of you folks on Monday, 9 a.m.